Hello everyone, welcome welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here, and today I am doing my October wrap up. Now in October I had a couple of videos go out and I will not be talking about those books in this video. So I had a vlog where I read 3 books in 3 days, so I'll have that linked in the description and in the cards. I also have a video coming up talking about a romance read that I read in a day when I was sick, so stay tuned to check out that vlog. I also did a couple of rereads, which I will not be talking about in this video, which only leaves us with 5 new to me reads in the month of October. I'm a little surprised at myself because I usually read more diversely in terms of genre, than I have been recently. I've been kind of falling back on some familiar patterns and some familiar genres just to, I don't know, comfort myself. So I only read romance and fantasy this month. The first romance book we're going to be talking about is Ladies in Hating by Alexandra Vasti. This is a sapphic historical romance, kind of enemies to lovers. This is about 2 rival writers who end up writing books that are like eerily similar, and you know, they confront each other about it, and so they kind of have a rocky first step in their relationship. Kind of enemies turned friends turned lovers. They go to a crumbling manor. There is plot outside of the romance as well. One of the authors is taking care of her family. She does not come from money, and so she's using her writing career and working a second job to make ends meet and get her brother through his lawyer's internship, essentially. And then the other writer was nobility but was disowned for being a writer, and so she and her mom are basically exiled from the family, living in London in an apartment. And so trying to make ends meet as well, but different backgrounds. I really enjoyed this. I think this is 2 for 2 by this author that I've given 4 stars. I think they're really solid, sweet romances with exciting plot outside of the romance. The first one had like kind of a spy espionage element, and this has like a gothic heir to a gothic estate plot line that was really interesting and fun, as well as the romance. I'm gonna keep reading this author, I think, which is exciting for me, and again, I give it 4 stars. My favorite romance read I read this month is Free from Falling by E.L. Massey. This is the 4th book I read by this author, the 4th book in the Breakaways series, and another smash hit slam dunk from this author. I've given all 3 of the other books 5 stars, and this one is a 4.5 out of 5 stars. We are following Mats, who is a teammate of all the other hockey players on the hockey team, and then we're also following a trans woman rock star named Sydney, and they meet at a party and decide to start texting, becoming friends, and eventually developing more. E.L. Massey does not write smut on page, just some foreplay and suggestive terms, but no on-page smut. Her books are deeply, deeply romantic and sweet. They have great elements of found family. These stories just feel so real. They feel like real people with flaws, and just the way that they come together is so beautiful. We are dealing with issues of, you know, transphobia, homophobia in here. And the reason I'm giving it 4.5 instead of a full 5 stars is because Matt's in the beginning of the first book in the series, we're introduced to him, and he is autistic, and he's a little homophobic in the beginning of book 1 of this series. And by the end of the second book, he's grown a lot as a character and is like cool with LGBTQIA plus people. And so I feel personally that we're lacking a little bit in character development for Mats in this book in particular. We find out he has autism, Sydney has ADHD, but he doesn't grow as much as I would expect for a book about him and his romance. I think Sydney has a lot of walls up because she is trans. She has to protect herself. And so some of the conflict that comes between them is because Sydney is scared to open up, which isn't necessarily miscommunication, it's just fear. But other than that, there's no real reason for these two not to be together. So I was a little, maybe slightly frustrated in this book, because it's like their chemistry was real, their friendship seemed very authentic and true. It was just Sydney holding back so much, and Matt's not trying to, force himself upon her and give her space, which is very nice, but it just seemed like there wasn't real tension keeping these characters from being together. Ultimately, this is still an amazing read. Again, like almost perfect for me, just small little nitpicks from me. I absolutely adored this and gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think you definitely need to be reading this author in this series, and I can't wait to see what else she comes out with. In the fantasy category, we have How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler, and I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars for completely different reasons than I gave Free From Falling 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is a fantasy satire, I would say. We're following a main character, Dari, who seems to be living in some kind of alternate reality or a video game where she is resurrected over and over and over and over again, trying to defend this city from these beast people who keep invading and attacking, and she keeps losing over and over and over again. So finally, at the beginning of the novel, she just, after 1,000 years of trying to save humanity, she's like, screw it, I'm gonna become the Dark Lord of this world, and I'm gonna join the beast people this time and just be a villain, and maybe I'll win this time. She also obviously wants to break out of this cycle that she's in. She's clearly an American from America and has somehow ended up in this world, whether it's in a video game or in an alternate world or something. It's kind of unclear. But this is a silly, stupid time. Like, Dari is crass, that's sexual, she is vulgar, but boy oh boy is this story a whole lot of fun. It's a classic kind of quest adventure with this kind of character who's kind of done with it all and just is like, let's just do what we need to do and become the villain. And I had a smashing good time with it. I'm not gonna say this is like a new favorite or a book that I would reread for comfort, but I had an excellent time with this story. So if you're looking for some fun, I would recommend it. This book does have some references to America, pop culture, that I found kind of annoying, because Dari talks about how much she doesn't remember her life before she was in this simulation, alternate world or whatever, but then she pulls out obscure, nerdy references all the time. Seemed a little far-fetched. So there's a little bit of like, I had to suspend my disbelief a little bit for some of the jokes to land, for some of the pop culture references, even for some of the plot, if I'm gonna be honest. But I had an amazing time reading this, and again, I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars and would recommend it if you're looking for a silly, goofy time. My favorite read of the month is Paladin of Souls by Lois McMaster Bujold. This is the sequel to The Curse of Chalion. However, we are following a different character. We're following a middle-aged woman going on a quest. So she has been kind of enthralled and sorcelled under a spell for a long time, and the curse was lifted 3 years prior to the novel starting, and she is tired of being treated like a child, like she's still ill, like she has an affliction when she doesn't. She wants to she's had a child who is now the heir to the throne. She's kind of done her duty. She's been a wife, she's been a mother. No one really needs her anymore. So she decides to run away and go on an adventure and kind of relearn who she is and figure out who she wants to be in this new chapter of her life. And I effing loved this. I loved the whole character setup is incredible. The character journey is immaculate. There is a little bit of a romance in here, which I did enjoy. It's like a very subplot, but it was cute. This was excellent. This is about a character getting closure about some things she's done in the past, finding new life, new meaning, having a great adventure, and solving some mysteries. I don't want to give too much away about the plot of this book, but she goes on an adventure. She rustles up a crew to take her, and it is a rollicking good time. I was emotional reading this just because I think Lois McMaster Bujold does such a good job with the character work in both of these novels, Curse of Chalion as well. I really felt for the characters, and I ended up really growing to love them and the world of the five gods, I guess. I highly recommend this series. I loved book 1 and 2 immensely, so much so that I attempted to read the third book, which is, we won't get into it too much, but I did not like that third book. So I moved on to the series of novellas that come after the original trilogy with Penrick's Demon. This is a novella about a young man, question mark, who on his way to be betrothed and to be married off stumbles upon this woman who in her dying breath like bestows her demon onto him, so he inherits this really powerful demon and essentially becomes a sorcerer. That's how like sorcery works in this world. And this was a 4-star read. I enjoyed it. However, this felt a little bit more young adult. Penrick is like, I couldn't tell how old he was. He seemed really, at the very least, he was very naive and kind of unaware of how the world worked and was pretty easy to take advantage of. He's a pretty vulnerable because of the new demon, and he's like fish out of water type of situation, and he was, so he's just very naive. And so it read a little bit YA for me. I really liked the demon character. She was hilarious. I don't know if I'll continue with the series though, because if we're, keeping on with this vein, it's just a little too young adult for me. But I do want to keep reading Lois McMaster Bujold. She's got another fantasy series and she's got a lot of sci-fi as well. So I'm going to continue exploring this author, even though Penrick, 4 stars, don't know if I want to continue with that necessarily. Those were the 5 new to me books that I read in October. I did some rereading. I read some things from vlogs that you will see elsewhere. What was your favorite read of October? I would love to know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video of mine very soon. Bye.